Hey guys, this video is going to go on our how to do stuff in Japan playlist, although it's another one of those ones that's not really about how to do anything. It's more about just maybe a perspective that might be interesting or useful to some people. And it's a sensitive one that has sort of come up a few times, but we've really avoided touching it because a few reasons, as will become obvious. It's possible that some people will misinterpret it and misquote it. That often happens with sensitive topics, that some people don't really get what we're saying and misunderstand it and then misquote and you know, leave comments that obviously show that they didn't understand what we were saying and misquote what we actually said. And the other problem is that a lot of Japanese people watch our videos, and many of them watch our videos and use the Google automatic translate function at the bottom of the video, and they just sit there and read the Google Translate, which is usually not accurate. So to those people I say, please don't trust Google Translate system. It doesn't work and is not accurate. It's true. We sometimes get Japanese people get really angry at us and leave comments in Japanese saying why they're unhappy with us, and we have to say to them, look, really sorry, we didn't actually say that. That's the Google translation of what we said, and it's misinterpreted. Now, the reason I've given that big long preface is because the topic of this video is Japanese people behaving in a childlike manner. Now, the fear is that Google Translate's going to translate that to childish, which isn't the meaning at all. And the reason that we're doing this video is it's come up a few times, just different times it's come up. And interestingly, it's been Japanese people who've brought it up. Now, I'll give you an example. This is what triggered this video. There's a 18-year-old girl that went to England as part of an international school thing. So she went to this big school in England, and it's a big boarding school, and other students from all over Europe also went to this place, and so there was all sorts of people from all sorts of countries aging from 15 to 20 years old, all staying together in this big hostel for a week or 2 weeks or something. And so it could give them all a chance to interact with each other, international people, and different language exchange and all sorts of things. So really, really good thing to do. And in her explanation or description of the experience, I asked her what the differences were, because she kept talking about some differences between the Japanese students that went and the other students from the other countries. And her explanation was that the students from other countries were more grown up, and the students from Japan were like children. So, and that's not the first time I've heard that from a Japanese person. Other Japanese people have told me that too. Adults, I mean, she's 18, so she's, you know, pretty close to being an adult, but I've had 30-year-old people tell me the same thing. That when they spend time with foreigners, they often feel that the foreigners that are the same age as them are much more grown up than them. And I've had that before. Make them feel like children. They feel like children. And interestingly, it's Japanese people that have planted that seed. And since these comments, it is really true that in Japanese society there are many examples of where behaving in a childlike way is the norm, or is not uncommon. Now, I'll just qualify another little bit of a qualification as well. This is all generalizations about the general society in general, and obviously doesn't count for everybody. So obviously, if you come to Japan, you will meet men here who are very grown up, masculine, serious men. So, of course, and you will meet ladies here who are very mature, sophisticated, grown-up ladies. So, of course, this doesn't count for everybody. But what this is talking about is, in Japanese society, and you'll recognize some of these things, there are just some aspects of Japanese society where behaving in a childlike manner is considered to be normal, and where So for example, and once you start thinking about this, you will start to see a lot more examples. So chances are today we're only going to be able to come up with a few examples. But if you're aware of this and are looking at Japan, or come to Japan, spend some time in Japan, you will see a lot of examples. So let's just try and think of a few. First of all, in when it comes to ladies here, they're super feminine, of course, and generally, and the fashion and the behaviour is often a childlike thing. Now we've covered this before in 2012 3 videos and other videos like that on a Japanese fashion playlist. You know, things like the standing pigeon-toed, you know, it's considered to be really cute, and the whole cute phenomenon, our cute stuff in Japan playlist. If you look at that cute stuff in Japan playlist with this in mind, and that's another thing that triggered this video. On our recent cute stuff in Japan playlist, we showed a bunch of guys all looking cute, and we also showed a truck that had cute stuff all over it. And we've shown cute stuff on trucks before, and that baffles some people because in a lot of countries truck drivers are considered really masculine, whereas here a big truck with a truck driver driving it and a whole heap of cute little fuzzy toys on the dashboard of the truck is considered to be quite a normal thing, not terribly unusual at all. And that sort of childlike thing, even in mature aged men, is considered to be quite normal. And again, back to the ladies' fashion thing again, the pigeon-toed thing, standing pigeon-toed when a photo's being taken, you know, and looking cute. Girls will, you know, make cute faces and cute and hearts and all that sort of stuff. The purikura phenomenon. If you watch, you know, girls, and I mean high school girls, but also 30-year-old girls, if they're together with their friends and they happen to see a purikura booth, will jump into the purikura booth and take cute photos of each of themselves together as a group. And then extending on that, quite normal to speak to people in their 20s and 30s and even 40s here, and you ask them what they did on the weekend, and quite normal for them just to spend time hanging out with their friends on the weekend. So they might have a boyfriend or a husband or a girlfriend or a wife, but still perfectly normal. And you'll see it if you go to a restaurant here on a Saturday night, quite normal to see more groups of women together and guys together than couples. And again, it's that kid thing again of hanging out with your friends instead of hanging out with people of the opposite sex. You know, you'll see people here in the afternoon, kids in the afternoon here walking home from high school, and there'll be big groups of girls walking down the street and big groups of guys walking down the street. And occasionally you'll see mixed groups, or you'll see couples, you know, a guy and a girl walking down the street together, but not as much as you would in other countries perhaps. You know, usually it's the girls together, and again, generalizations, this isn't everybody, but quite normal to see the girls together and the guys together. And on the high school thing too, it's almost like the high school type life and the high school type style is almost like it's clung on to, like they cling on to it, the society clings on to that high school experience forever. So you'll see, I mean, the high school uniform thing is huge here, you know, it's just, and we've shown you this before with the AKB48 and all that sort of stuff, but it goes deeper than that. I mean, you'll see it on TV here, they have game shows and like variety shows here on TV at night that are really aimed at adults. You know, the kids are asleep in bed and they're aimed at adults, and the celebrities that are on the show will all be sitting there in school uniforms. And they'll be in their 30s and 40s, you know, 20s, 30s and 40s, these people, they're adults. And they'll be sitting around in school uniforms, playing games, you know, playing games with each other. And it's like that high school life thing is really clung onto as being a really sort of an ideal. I've heard it said before that some people think it's because after school, Japanese people's lives get so serious and busy and intense that they really cling on to the high school experience as being a time that was sort of, you know, they value, which is probably normal in most societies too. But it really does, it's an underlying current through Japanese society and through, you know, the images that we see in advertising and TV and in the media here. That underlying thing of the school uniform and the school experience and the schoolies, and, you know, television dramas where the main characters are school aged people, and you know, dramas aimed at adults where a lot of the main characters are school aged people, and, you know, and living in their school uniforms, which is the reality here for high school students. Here they usually wear their uniforms every day of the week because they're almost always doing school-related activities. So all day long into the evening and all weekend wearing the school uniform. So there's this underlying thing, and then the opposite's also true as well. If you come to Japan from another country where, you know, for example Australia, where the guys are fairly sort of macho, generally generalizations again, but if you come to Japan and walk into a room as a fairly large male, walk into a room and say hello everybody, or you know, walk into a room with your glasses on, or walk into your room all dressed in black. You walk into a room, it's quite possible that the adults in that room, male or female, might say, oh, quite scary, they might say, oh, scary, because you've come in with a deep voice, hello everyone, and they go, oh, scary, a big deep loud voice, that's scary. And they're adults, right? They're in their 20s, 30s and 40s, and they're really not really scared. They're not really scared. It's a bit of a game that they play here with reactions like that. They're sort of real reactions, but they're sort of exaggerating. They're obviously not really scared of you. It's the same as if you walk in with your glasses on, with sunglasses on, and these people know you. They know you're not a scary person, but you walk in with your sunglasses on, they look at you and go, oh, kawaii. Oh, kawaii so. Scary, scary, you look scary. And they know that you're not a scary person, but they're just sort of playing up that reaction, which is a childlike reaction, isn't it? You know, most adults in most countries, if you walk into a room wearing sunglasses or black clothes or something, won't do that, you know, or will they? But here, it'd be quite normal for a 40-year-old Japanese guy to go, oh, scary, you look scary, you know? So, and that's actually something to keep in mind. That is something worthwhile for the how-to playlist. If you are a big male, or it doesn't really matter, but if you come to Japan, it's something to keep in mind that anything sort of loud or scary like that isn't going to be real. People aren't going to be really comfortable with it. And again, this is, you watch the way the guys behave here, and even the macho guys, you know, the guys from the dojo that studied karate for 30 years, or they tend to be, in generalization again, but they tend to be a bit softer and a bit more gentle than in a lot of other countries. And example of that, it's actually quite common to see gangster guys, you know, Yakuza guys, quite commonly get around wearing Hello Kitty stuff. And they'll wear a white tracksuit with Hello Kitty on it, or they'll wear like slide-on type slippers, you know, plastic slippers, like slide-on shoes, you know, with Hello Kitty emblems on them and things like that. And that's actually quite common here. Never forget seeing a building construction worker come out of a building site to his truck to get something out of the back of his truck, and he's wearing the big flared pants that the construction workers wear, and he had big tools hanging off his belt. You know, he's a construction worker, right? And as he walks past the truck, he stops at the side mirror on the outside of the truck and looks in the mirror and straightens up his bangs, you know, because he had the brown dyed hair with the pretty hair with the bangs at the front. So on his way past the side mirror of the truck, he stops and straightens up his bangs and then walks back off to the construction site again, you know. So, you know, it's sort of a, you know, some people watch, when we show things like that on videos, watch the guys that are like that and sort of criticize them or say, comment that they're effeminate or something. It's possible that, that compared to other countries that is the case, but it could also be like more childlike as well. So this is just an observation, you know. This isn't like with our other videos. They're not criticisms, they're observations, and these observations first were suggested to us by Japanese people. So it was Japanese people who said to us that the you know, compared to the people from other countries, that Japanese people are more childlike, and usually they'll say koromo mitai. So, and that means childlike. You know, Nihon de koromo mitai desho. So Japanese people are more childlike, and they'll say that, you know, foreign people are more adult. And I mean, when you're talking about 15 to 20-year-olds too, you know, you'll ask an 18 or a 19-year-old what they did during the school holidays. What's the most exciting thing you did during the school holidays? And they'll say they went to club. So they went to school and played tennis, or they went to school and played badminton, or they went to school and played table tennis, or they went to club. That was the most exciting thing they did during their school holidays. And, you know, 17 and 18, 19-year-olds in other countries, you know, might have gone to a party, drunk excessively, you know, smoked a lot of pot, maybe tried cocaine for the first time, or, you know, much different. And that's what these guys, this girl that went to England, you know, she heard these stories. And because the you know, the other thing is the sex thing as well, is that, you know, a lot of people from a lot of other countries, we covered this in that video, Sex in Japan, that a lot of people in other countries, you know, are sexually active from 15, 16, 17 years old and continue that forever, you know, whereas Japanese people, quite common for Japanese people that are 20 years old to be virgins and 25 years old to be virgins. You know, it's still quite common for a lot of Japanese people to be virgins until they get married. You know, live at home with their parents, you know, and that's another huge thing in Japan here, that, you know, very, very common for Japanese people, male and female, to still live at home with their parents until they get married. And, you know, again, if you start to think about this childlike thing without any criticism at all, just a childlike, to be childlike, if you look at it from that point of view, there are a lot of examples of that in the way that people live their lives here, you know, and just simplistic. I mean, the anime and manga thing too, you know, very common to sit on the train and see a 40-year-old guy in a suit sitting on the train reading an anime or reading a manga, you know. And some people will say that, you know, a lot of manga is very adult aimed at adults, you know. Well, it's true, but it's still a comic, isn't it? And even the simpler sort of childlike manga, quite common to see a 40-year-old guy in a suit on his way to work on the train sitting there reading a comic. It's a comic. I mean, we call them manga because that's what Japanese people call them, but in English it's comic, right? So they're sitting there reading a comic. He's 40 years old in his suit, he's reading a comic. Well, it could be said that's childlike, isn't it? You know, that it's a childlike, and the video game thing too, you know. And I mean, people from all cultures enjoy comics and video games at all ages, of course, but it could be suggested that it's more common here, you know. A family friend of ours, they'd be in their mid-30s, and recently it was the guy's birthday, and she bought him some video games for his birthday, and that's his favourite thing. Weekends, there's a good example. Weekends, that she'll often on a Saturday night go out with her friends, and he stays home and plays video games with his friends. 35 years old. So, I mean, people in other cultures do that too, in other countries too, but again, just another example of where in Japan that's actually quite common. There'll be a lot of Japanese guys watching this going, yeah, that's me. So, anyway, again, we only really made this because it was our Japanese friends, and once we brought this up a couple of times with some Japanese people, and we're sitting around talking, what do you think of this, you know? And they agreed, yeah, sure. And there's lots of examples of that, and so it's just an interesting point of view. And again, not treating this in a critical way, just an observational way, so that when you do spend time in Japan and you see different behaviours, or when you need to understand why, you know, being a bit softer or being a bit gentler, or the type of, you know, your friends tell you that they come around to our place for a pizza party, you know, well, they're not going to be passing around a joint and shotting tequila, probably. They might be, but it's more likely they're going to be sitting around drinking green tea and making a pizza and watching anime on TV. Would be not an unusual thing. So you'll just likely see lots of examples of this if you come spend some time here, or if you're already here. So anyway, hopefully someone found that of interest. More videos coming soon.